But coming from Destiny over, it was just it was the mass amount of content that I had to pick up and learn.
Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
My name is Von Dilstar. I'm one of the legendary Parse Boys along with Butter Dog and Tater Tots. I'm an Irish content creator for the last 2 years of my existence, and I play mostly World of Warcraft, Classic and of course retail, and I do play Destiny 2, but my content creation now mostly has been World of Warcraft.
How I actually started playing the game was pretty funny. It was just before TBC release. I actually boosted, I know a lot of people are probably going to give me shit for that. I boosted up BM Hunter. Now, I had no idea what I was doing. This was completely brand new to me. I never played in like an MMO like this before. Tab Target. I've played like Destiny 2 was my main game for years. It was actually Butter Dog and Tater Tots that got me into this game. And like, oh yeah, we'll just, do the free trial, see what you think of it. And then I was like, well, do you know what? I'll just go 2 feet in. I'll buy TBC and I'll give the expansion a go. Worst comes to worst, like I can play the game. At least I can play with friends. That's the way I looked at it. So probably my earliest memories was waiting outside the Dark Portal. Probably my funniest moments because we were kind of just sitting around waiting for TBC to launch. And I think there was about 10 or 11 of us sitting in Discord, just talking nonsense and having a good time. That's what I enjoyed the most because we were kind of looking at people's names and what people had called themselves. Taylor Tots had said to me, he goes, listen, he goes, you need to level up to 60. I was like, alright, cool, I'll do that. I went to Eastern Plaguelands, and I think I was playing the game for about 5 hours, just in the Eastern Plaguelands, killing mobs. Not doing any quests, just killing mobs for about 4 hours, trying to learn the class and learn how to play it. Not that because I keep taking breaks between Classic and Retail, that when I go back, I nearly have to relearn the class again, which is really funny. But it was, that was one of my favourite memories, because he kind of goes, Vaughn, what are you up to? And I was like, oh, I'm just out here in the Eastern Plaguelands where you told me to go. And he's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm just killing mobs. And he's like, you haven't done any quests? And I was like, no. And he goes, have you died at all? And I was like, no. And he's like, what? How have you managed to go out to the Eastern Plaguelands as a brand new player, like brand spanking new, and not die in the Eastern Plaguelands killing mobs? So that was one of my favourite, probably one of my funniest moments, I think, when I first started playing the game. I was very cautious and just learning how to play the game. Send in my pet, attack. And then obviously I ran out of arrows at one point. And I was like, right, I ran out of bullets, excuse me. I had to run back then and find someone, a vendor then to buy bullets. It was pretty funny. I was only level 58, maybe, I think it was 58. And I just played cautious. I was like, right, I'm not, like, I didn't know anything about pulling big packs or anything. So I was just, like, I'll pull one mob. I was doing one mob at a time every single time, and I was using my traps then. Like, I was kind of learning about my traps, using my traps and slowing down targets and freezing targets, and then resetting myself to take on another target. If I did pull like 1 or 2, if I pulled maybe 3, I knew that I could manage to worm my way around them, and I could kite them. So that was one of the earliest memories, was kiting and learning my class in the Eastern Plaguelands while not dying for 4 or 5 hours. At the moment in retail, world quests would take up most of my time. That and keys, running keys with the guys. I do PvP as well. I've actually really enjoyed the world PvP in retail this time around, because we've ganked some kids and I've gotten ganked as well, and it's been funny. I think it was at the Knockhood. I think it was Knockhood. Yeah, we caused mayhem over at Knockhood, just outside the dungeon entrance. There was 5 of us, and we were just running keys, and we were taking a break for a moment, and we all had war mode on, and we ended up causing absolute murder. There was, like, we were ganking people, and then before we knew it, like, people were just dropping in out of the skies just to have a go at us, and they were obviously calling friends and guildies, and before we knew it, there was, like, we were all playing on alliance characters, so before we knew it, there was like 15 horde waiting to take 5 of us on. So we upset a lot of people doing that. But then some of the guys run, we like running BGs. I love running BGs. It just gives me a chance to learn the PvP side of the class, of any class really, especially on my red paladin. I like to get better at PvP. I think Warsong Gulch is probably my favourite. Just 10v10, 10v10 or AV. AV is madness. I remember, I think it was AV weekend. We spammed because I went into Wrath of the Lich King with a full brutal set, and that kept me going until at least level 75. I didn't need any gear along the way, and eventually then my gear I had to start replacing items. But yeah, that's what when I first started. I remember we spammed AV, and we had some of the funniest times on AV on Noob Hill, sitting on Noob Hill waiting. Especially as a BM hunter, I was owning kids. Like, I remember coming up and because at the odd time, like, you might not make it and you get trained by a team of guys. So you're on your own running back from the starting point, and then you might run into like a solitary mage who's trying to be sneaky. I'm like, oh, is that how it is? And I end up clapping him. Oh yeah, because I'm not by any means very good at PvP. I do have some good clips of me somewhere owning kids in PvP, but yeah, that was pretty funny. Just clapping up mages and all that. And they can't, and then the guys trying to run away from you in Warsong Gulch, and they're trying to run into houses to get away from you and your pet, or else they're trying to just separate the pet from you, thinking, "Oh, I'll be all right." Like, no, and then like I'll just chase them down and catch them. Like trying to learn everything. So I started playing Hunter, and I kind of play around with a few different classes, and then I moved into the Rep Paladin, and I was like, this looks cool. You know, what's cooler than being the righteous one as such and distributing judgment on people. But going back to what you were saying, I think mostly at the moment now, it's especially on retail, if I'm on my own because of the time difference between the guys, I'll do a lot of collecting. I'll go run dungeons for transmog. I'll run raids by myself for transmog. That's just to fill the time until the guys come on. And I'm like, alright, what you think of this transmog? And I show them the mog, and it's like, oh, that's cool. Where'd you do that? Or where'd you get that? Like, so a lot of that's what a lot of it, my day mostly starts off with. If I'm on my own, I'll just do transmog runs until the guys come online, and then I can play then away with them. I am consistently running ICC with all my tunes every week because I want to get the mount from the final boss. I don't know. I don't think any of us have Invincible yet. None of us have Invincible. So every week, first thing I do after reset is, right, go into ICC, lads. I'll see you in about 10-15 minutes. Well, it takes a bit longer than that, but like, I'll see you when I'm finished. And then, you know, you just do it on every tune, and then every single time you come up short. But you still come out with some nice transmog all the same. But it's funny because that's the one thing because I had everybody going on April Fools, where I ran in, I did it, because we were all sitting in Discord, and I go into the guild chat, and I drop in, so I just shift click and send it into chat, and everyone's like, no way, you got it, no way. And I was like, I didn't get it, like I just put it into chat and said, like, you know, oh yeah lads, I got it. And I managed to catch everybody out, because everybody tried to fly to me to see me on the mount, and I just kept trying to avoid them. It was pretty funny. Coming from Destiny to WoW, obviously they're worlds apart, but similar in the same sense. Being MMO games, obviously one's a shooter looter, and the other one then is just MMO RPG. And then I've seen people do weird role plays in this game. Goldshire Inn comes to mind. But coming from Destiny over, it was just the mass amount of content that I had to pick up and learn. There's obviously lore that stretches back to the original Warcraft games before there ever was World of Warcraft. And then Destiny is the same for people. Like, it kind of the two games do punish people, like do punish new players in a sense. Whereas in Destiny 2, you're missing out on content that stretches all the way back to Destiny 1. And in Destiny 2, they've vaulted content because the game was nearly unplayable at one point because all the content was open and it was available to play. Whereas now they've had to vault contents to make the game run smoother. Now I don't know whether they're going to change that for next gen consoles and obviously PCs that are better. Then coming into this, and you know, there's NPCs that have like lore points. How massive the game is. Obviously, Destiny's a big game as well. World of Warcraft is just so huge, and the player base is you do like in both games, like, and no matter what game you play that's got any sort of PvP, or you're going to come across like an eclectic group of people that are just toxic. WoW, I've played with people that have been toxic. When I play with people that have been nice, they've been like. So I remember doing my first time tanking keys, because this character was originally a tank. My first time tanking keys, I'd start off at like 1 and 2, and this was in Shadowlands. So I started off like my +1s and +2s, just learning to tank, and then eventually I was able to get to like a +11. It was gaining confidence along the way where I'd say, listen, I'd let the guys know beforehand, yo, listen, I'm very new to tanking in this game. I hope you don't mind. I'm gonna do my best. And then I think maybe a couple of people were kind of like, do this, and people then obviously spamming expletives in chat and whatever. But in general, it's been, for me, coming across from a game like Destiny where the community that I'm involved with is very helpful in every aspect of it. If you want to take care of them. So for me, coming across from Destiny, a lot of the people have been toxic, but at the same time, there's those that are not toxic. Coming across, the player base has been fine mostly. I haven't had much experiences of people giving me hell or whatever, but to say that, yeah, it is, they do punish you in a sense, because coming across from a game where it's point and click to tab targets and knowing your rotation and knowing mechanics and things like that, it has been a bit of a struggle, but at the same time, it's a learning experience. That's the way I look at it. I enjoy learning, and I enjoy learning all the aspects that I can without having to overload myself, because that's what I find if I play a game that not that it's too difficult, but if it's a lot of like trying to learn a lot of things about the game, obviously won't suit me, because I prefer just to get in and just play. But obviously with my mates that I've been playing with, they've been, when you get this, you should be able to do this, and they kind of step me through it. Whereas the same thing in Destiny, where it's people have always kind of stepped me through it, and they've been like, oh yeah, you should try this piece of armor with this gun, and this is how you use these exotics, and so on and so forth. A lot of my country's history is shrouded in songs and poems and stories. For anybody who doesn't know, I'm from Ireland, and if anybody knows the Irish, we have a lot of stories, a lot of myths. We have songs about the great Irish heroes. We have poems about poaching brewing on the side of a mountain. A lot of my country's history is enshrouded and enshrined with songs and stories of heroes. Cuchulainn. I don't know, have you ever played Final Fantasy? Do you ever hear of a spear called the Gaebulg? Yeah, so the Gaebulg is actually an Irish spear. It's the spear of a hero of ours called Cuchulainn, which means the Hound of Cullen. And Cullen was the king at the time. And what happened was, Fionn McCool, who was actually my character's name in Final Fantasy 14 online. So Fionn McCool, the story goes, Fionn McCool was out travelling one day and he was attacked by a dog. We have a native sport here it's an amateur sport. It's called hurling. And it's got a hurl and a schlitter, it's called, the ball. And it's a very, very heavy, hard leather ball. So what he did was, he slew the hound by hitting the ball with the hurl down the hound's throat, killing it. When obviously he realised who owns the hound, he went away. He said he was going to guard the lands while the next hounds were being raised. So he became known as Cuchulainn then, the Hound of Cullen. It's just a little story there. Because that's like nearly everything we do, or anything we have, it's all enshrouded in songs and stories and poems. It's just one of the things that we as Irish people thoroughly enjoy. Everybody, like when I first started playing, it was all Arthas, and how he became the Lich King. And I like to, I'm not going to say I'm going to go away and play Warcraft 3, but I will look further into his story, because I have a kind of a general overview of his story, and it touches back on it again in Shadowlands when was it Uhtred, when you end up bumping it, so we end up bumping into him again. It kind of goes back through his story again, how he obviously, and how Uhtred obviously got his little kind of redemption arc as such. And I've been saying to myself that like I'm going to get the lore books and I'm going to go and do my study essentially, but it wouldn't be more so study. I'd like to watch a video. I watch some videos and I've kind of like, and then I've been playing the game while trying to listen to it, and I really should just stop and go, right, I need to focus on the lore and watch the videos It's a bad habit of mine where I'll watch something or I'll have something on my second monitor while I'm playing a game. It could be a video where I could be listening to something, or I might have a stream open. It could be anybody. It could be like Asmongold, listen to what he's talking about, to having Hassan Abbey open, listening to what he's rambling on about that day. Yeah, it could be anything. So that's one of my own problems that I have to try and fix. So I need to get back into the lore and try and fully understand it. And well, not even try and fully understand it, because the game goes back so long, where I should be able to just go, right, I want to learn about this character. I'll go listen to what I can about this character and stick to that, and then work my way around the different characters. Because because obviously Sylvanas has got a fairly colourful past. Arthas, obviously Arthas is probably one of the best villains that they've ever brought into the game. From anybody I've ever spoken to, they've thought that his downturn to the Lich King is probably one of the best kind of examples of how to write a character. I think, well, there's probably two things I'd bring in, right? The vault space. I am a terror. I hate throwing things away. I'm not to say I'm a hoarder as such, but when it comes to video games, like especially in Destiny, when I get a weapon, it just vault. I just throw it into the vault, send it in, and I can inspect it later using the item manager tool. One of the biggest things as well for me, I think, at the moment is, especially with transmog runes, normal flying is garbage. Bring in the momentum-based flying to the older parts of the game, because I think that it'd be nice to be able to go and cruise, because it's a lot faster than when you're doing the momentum-based riding. Yeah, so make the banks bigger, and then go ahead and let me do my dragon riding everywhere, not just in the Dragon Isles. Exactly. It's not like, you know, I'm not asking for a lot, like, you know what I mean? It's just like whatever that string of code is, just extend it a little bit to include, you know, everything. I'm definitely gonna keep playing. It's very addictive in a sense, because there's so much to do in retail. There's obviously all the transmog. Well, I'm running transmogs like they're going out of fashion. And then running keys, trying to get better gear, and then eventually we're going to hit the raid as a group, because it's our raid nights could be funny, especially when we're running keys and we're watching the meters and we're just, you know, making fun of each other. It's like, oh, look, your damage isn't that great, you know. And especially with the healer, especially if we don't have to pug a healer, we always make fun of the healer. The healer gets a hard time in our group, even though like they're probably the most important out of all of them. They get a hard time, so it's always a good laugh. Though it's the laugh that I love the most playing this, because especially from myself as a new player, I have for some reason seem to have like beginners RNG, where I get everything everything I need. Most recently, from Quarter Stars, I picked up the Windscar Whetstone, and there was a guy on our team that was running it. Must have ran it about 50 times trying to pick it up, and I got it on my first run of a +4 Quarter Stars. That was pretty funny. We had a good laugh over that. So that's the thing. That's one thing I love about it. It's the fun that you can have with the friends you have, and then there's meeting people along the way that don't take themselves too seriously. That's what I love about this game. If you don't take it too serious, it can be like any game. It can be fun. A very lofty goal. I'd love to hit Glad. But I don't think I'm quite there yet. Maybe further down the line, if I keep playing this character and learning the ins and outs, I might eventually hit Glad at some point in my lifetime. But we'll see. I'm 34. I'm nearly 34 now. Maybe ask me that in 10 years' time when I'm 44, if I ever hit Glad in Dragonflight.